The defending IPL champions Gujarat Titans, of course, had created history by becoming only the second new team to come into the tournament and then win it after, of course, Rajasthan Royals in the inaugural edition of the IPL all the way back in 2008. That, of course, means that they are very, very confident about the squad they have, and that is in many ways something that is reflective when you look at the number of players that they released or traded going into this year's edition of the IPL auction. Their squad looks pretty settled for the most part. There aren't that many players who they've looked to actually get out of the way or out of the, into the IPL auction pool. Now, because if you look at the top two players, Ramanal Gurbaz, Lockie Ferguson, both of them were traded to Kolkata Knight Riders ahead of, the auction actually taking place. So that means they only released 4 other players. That's Dominic Drakes, Gurkirat Singh, Jason Roy and Varun Aaron. That, of course, means they will be targeting a few players who could fill a similar role than these. So if you're looking at 5 players that I think Gujarat could target, and again, remember, they've built their squad very, very wisely because they have 7 slots available and they have 19.25 crores to spend. So they can go big on at least a couple of players, if not more, and get in a few bargain buys. So that's what this thing is a mix of, if you look at the players that they can target. If you ask me, Chris Jordan and Adam Milne, both players that they should be looking to target, because again, in the absence of Lockie Ferguson and now even Dominic Drakes, there is a desperate need for them to get in at least one top foreign pace bowler. Both players will fill a good role for them if you're looking at what Lockie did for them, which is of course be an express pace bowler with some variation who can bowl well in the death. Chris Jordan has a known record of being a good death bowler. Adam Milne did the job pretty well for CSK. Of course, for Milne, the obvious advantage or the obvious disadvantage, would be, whether or not his body holds up. He's a bit injury prone, but again, if Gujarat so deem him to be a good buy, there's nothing stopping them from actually getting him. Beyond that, of course, there are other players they can target. Someone like Rassie van der Dussen would add a lot to their middle order, even though it is already very, very strong. And of course, van der Dussen is someone who, even last year, many people were surprised that he wasn't getting as much game time for a team like, say, the Rajasthan Royals. And again, our Rajasthan Royals last year really needed more all-round options, and he was still stuck on the bench. If he gets to a team like Gujarat and shines, it wouldn't really be the first time a South African leaves Rajasthan Royals and joins a Gujarat team and then ends up shining. I am, of course, referring to David Miller. Can Rassie get there, though? Remains to be seen, but I wouldn't be surprised if they target him, especially if they feel that they can get him on a bargain, or even if they need to overspend. They do have plenty of money. Webb of Aurora I mentioned because, again, with no Varun Aaron there, they do have a need for a domestic Indian, a domestic pacer, and Webb was someone who I was rather surprised actually got released. He did pretty well for the Punjab Kings in, of course, last year's edition of the IPL. Has generally done okay in domestic cricket too. Can be a good player, at least in the squad, if nothing else. I was surprised Punjab released him. Wouldn't be too much of a surprise if Gujarat snapped him up. They've proved so far to be shrewd operators when it comes to the auction. Narayan Jagdishan was someone who I put in there because, again, their middle order does look just a little bit thin when you're looking at Indian players, and Jagdishan would be a good option to plug that hole. So beyond these 5 players, of course, these are the 5 who I think they'll be looking to target, or they should be looking to target for sure. Beyond that, of course, as I said, they have a lot of money to spare. So let's look at, of course, the list of players when it comes to who all are available and for what price. The 2 crore bracket does have a lot of players who they could potentially target. Again, Gujarat are the champions team. They start from, of course, a good advantage in that regard. They can actually go big for someone like a Cameron Green or an Adil Rashid if they're so fancy, although Adil Rashid definitely probably won't be starting because they already have Rashid Khan. But someone like a Cameron Green would add a lot. Someone like even a Sam Curran, who of course many are expecting to be one of the more expensive players from this year's auction, would also add a lot to them and could actually be one player who they target, because again, they have a lot of players already. They didn't release too many, so they can go big with a few players if they so choose. Of course, beyond just this, someone like a Jason Holder could also be a good option if they feel you need an all-rounder who can bowl 4 overs. Would be a very good option for them. If you're looking at the 1.5, again, there's not too many players. Maybe a Shakib Al Hasan, someone, again, if you're not looking for Rassie, Shakib would be a good option. But of course, Shakib has gone unsold in the auction before. Wouldn't be too much of a surprise if it happened again. Maybe a Harry Brook, I don't know. Again, as I said, they have the money. Wouldn't be too much of a shock if they went for him. Someone like, beyond that, again, their middle order as far as foreign players are concerned, besides maybe these, I don't see too many options who they could be using. Of course, beyond that, they could potentially be targeting another wicket keeper. That's why I also mentioned Jagadish. And remember, they don't have Rahmanullah Gurbaz. Matthew Wade is really one of the only keepers in that squad right now. But if you look at the 1 crore bracket, again, not too many players they can target, and that actually is a massive credit to them, not because of the fact that, you know, they can't buy any of these players, it's because their squad is pretty well set. So really for them, it's a case of actually just looking at the players and looking at them and thinking, okay, do we need these players, or do we only need to bring in a few players to kind of complete our squad? Because if you again just look at the players they have already, it's a very, very complete squad. And again, 7 available slots, they can put 3 or 4 also at most, spend most of that money and actually have a pretty complete squad, especially if you pick up a couple more all-rounders than you do, say, you know, pure pacers or pure batsmen. So for Gujarat, really, it wouldn't be surprised if they went big on a couple of players and then just look to fill their squad, because their squad otherwise is very, very good. But that's just how I feel about it. What do you guys think? Well, you can let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and also don't forget to tap the bell icon. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook, and last but not least, don't forget to download the AajTak app, where you'll get all of the updates from the IPL auction. Thank you all once again for joining us in this video. I hope to see you with us when we're covering the IPL auction live. But for now, goodbye.